The Phoenix Lords are the leaders of the Craftworld Aeldari Aspect Warriors. Each a distillation of the teachings and experience of their shrines, imbued with the power of the war god, Kala Mencha Kane. These immortal heroes of the Eldar people merged the personalities of each new wearer of their Phoenix armor. Choosing new hosts from among the mightiest of exarchs of their respective shrines. Each time a Phoenix Lord falls in battle, those who sacrifice their bodies to restore its function assimilate the memories and abilities contained within its shell. Drawn to imperiled craftworlds, exodite planets, and other crucial bastions of the species, should the call of Kane prove exceptionally strong, several Phoenix Lords may traverse the webway together in order to reach their kin. The Spirit Stone, contained within each panoply, protecting all who have donned it. A single dominant personality, typically the first to wear such armor, and greatest among their number, shall lead the Gestalt of Souls. Seen rarely, at times millennia apart by Eldari records, though none know the extent of all Phoenix Lords to have ever fought in the name of Asuryan, doubtless several ancient regalia lie dormant upon doomed worlds, awaiting a new host to revive their forms. Some Phoenix Lords as ancient as the fall of the Eldar, having fought during the cataclysm of the Eldari species. Many lords are derived of the Asuria warrior order of yore, which belies their skill in battle. First among the Phoenix Lords is Azurman, Hand of Asuryan and master of the Dire Avengers. The dominant soul of his armor, known as Iliathan, responsible for the founding of the Aspect Shrines. Originally hailing from the world of Aedaferon, living a mundane life as a subject of the Eldari Empire. Though skeptical of the impending doom of his species, Iliathan ignored the advisements of his brother, Tephesis, to live the life of an exodite. Witnessing the birth scream of Slaanesh as warp entities gorged on the worlds of the Eldari, Iliathan killed Tephesis, following his possession by a demon, his shelter within an ancient temple pledged to the much diminished Eldar gods, preventing his own death. After 10 years of isolation, Iliathan found new purpose, saving the life of an Eldar child, Farathil, from the predations of the Drukhari. Iliathan renaming himself as Azurman, in honor of the chief god of the Eldar pantheon, Asuryan. Teaching survivors of the fall the ways of combat upon the crone world of Aedaferon henceforth. His pupils, now known as Jain Zar, Baharoth, Fugan, and Ara, dubbed themselves as the Asuria and established a base of operations upon the barren moon of Azur. Azurman's pupils assuming the titles of exarchs until ascending to the stature of a Phoenix Lord themselves. Though Asur would eventually be destroyed by the legions of chaos, several new shrines would be constructed upon myriad craftworlds. Vanishing into the pages of history as the legendary forebear of the Dire Avengers, for every great threat posed by the ruinous powers endangering the survival of the Eldar, Azurman returns to stave off annihilation, inspiring his species and generations to come. The embodiment of the warrior creed of Kane and forefather of all Phoenix Lords hereafter, this vengeful soul, armed with the Dire Sword, the Sword of Azur, contains the spirit of his long-dead brother, Tephesis. The vambraces of Azurman's panoply fitted with shuriken catapults known as the Bloody Twins, each bolstering his skill with his mastercrafted shuriken pistol. Both at range and close quarters, this legendary figure has slain untold combatants over his millennia of combat. Balancing fury and skill in equal measure, the rune of Azurman resembles the ancient human sigil, the Yin and Yang. His ventures aboard his flagship, the Stormlance, controlled by an artificial intelligence to prevent the Phoenix Lord's distraction from the path of the warrior. Baharoth, the Cry of the Wind, is the Phoenix Lord of the Swooping Hawk Shrine. His craftworld of Anayan, long destroyed by Khornate berserkers, led by the Chaos Lord, Turak. The first to master aerial combat, many believe Baharoth to be the finest pupil to have ever been trained by Azurman. The winged phoenix, imbued with youthful energy during his tenure as a student, enthralled by the sensations of airborne maneuvers. The brother of Morgan Ra, Phoenix Lord of the Dark Reapers, their contrasting personalities mimics that of a searing sun and somber moon. Their combined strength and expertise, a force to be reckoned with, forged through blood and toil. Alike to a hurricane, as the swiftest of all Phoenix Lords, his power sword, known as the Shining Blade, forged with the dying fires of a supernova by the Eldari Smith God, Vol, blinds the wicked, fueled by the knowledge of their fell deeds. Embodying victory as he soars above the carnage of battle, this radiant symbol of hope glides by virtue of anti-gravitic emitters within his wings, as his Tempest battle formations, comprised of elite swooping hawks, descend from the heavens to purge evildoers. Baharov's maneuver, known as the Baharkan or Hawk Strike, felling countless terrible foes throughout the millennia. The piercing cries of such airborne warriors precedes bombardments of haywire grenades upon his foes. The Phoenix Lord of the Shining Spears, Drastanta, also known as the Tempest of Starlight. This enigmatic warrior has not been sighted in millennia, much to the dismay of his Aspect Shrine. Among the first pupils of Asurman to study within the Temple of Azure, pride is likely the cause of this Phoenix Lord's disappearance due to his proclivity to fight in duels of honor. Aiding Asurman's last stand to preserve Azure during the demonic invasion by Slaanesh, Drastanta avenged the death of Asurman at the hands of the Keeper of Secrets, N'Kari. Impaling the greater demon with his celestial lance, with the banishment of the entity, this warrior donned his crown of seventh sky, leaving behind his Starlance for his disciples to carry into battle, as he embarked into the depths of the Immaterium alone. Fugan is the Phoenix Lord of the Fire Dragon's aspect. His title of the Burning Lance won through millennia of battle, fueled by the unabashed fury of Kayla Mensha Kane. The air around this dour soul blistering with the war god's hatred. The fire pike, known as Seer Song, devastates his enemies from afar, as his fire axe, forged by Vorl, has never cooled since the day it was created. Prophesied to bind the dragon of Eldari mythos to his will during the end of days and summon all Phoenix Lords to fight during the Rana Dandra, this student of the Shrine of Azure champions the total annihilation of his enemies until only ashes remain. Unleashing cleansing flames to purge all beyond the point of revivification, salvation, or rebirth. This avatar of destruction, though lost during the fall of the Shrine of Azure, would return to prominence during the final battle of Haran Shamash. Alongside Farseer, Eldrad Ulfran facing the legions of greater demons during the Battle of the World of Blood and Tears. Each wound incurred by the Phoenix Lord galvanized his fury until every opponent fell by his hand. Intervening only during the most crucial of battles which threatened the Eldar species, his aid given to the cult of the Ynnari during the 42nd millennium and burning worlds left in his wake, a testament to his duty to preserve their survival. Irilith is the Phoenix Lord of the Shadow Spectre Aspect Shrine. Millennia of combat and slow decline, proving unkind to the disciples of the Shadow of Twilight. Foreseeing a terrible fate wherein a then middling species would bring ruin to the stars during his training by Azurman, the visions of ruin befalling the Eldari forced the Phoenix Lord to seek out threats to his species until being confronted by Slaaneshi demons within the depths of the Webway. Slumbering a deep sleep caused by extreme exhaustion from the battle, Irilith foresaw the location of Craftworld Mimera, venturing forth to train them in the arts of stealth in order to prepare them for the coming storm. Embarking upon a preemptive strike alongside half of the assembled warhost he had created to buy time for Craftworld Mimera, Irilith foresaw that his efforts had ensured their survival, yet his own life would be forfeit to sustain their safety. Irilith lost for several millennia as his shrines upon Craftworlds were abandoned. Only in recent years have the Shadow Spectres of Craftworld Mimera retrieved the dormant Phoenix armor of their patron from the Batalis III campaign of 894.M41 upon the world of Bethelmay. Reanimated by High Farseer Bel Anath within the tunnels of the mining facility of Arestra IV, following the Battle of Dawning Twilight, Irilith once more wielded the Spear of Starlight Prism Blaster, beginning the resurgence of the Shadow Spectres. Jain Zar, the Phoenix Lord of the Howling Banshees Aspect Shrine. The orphan once known as Farafil, as the first pupil of Asurman, has earned a pedigree beyond question. Once a Hecatari of the witch cult arenas who delighted in the dance of slaughter within Aedaferon's fighting pits, her emancipation from her former overlords by Asurman began her long journey upon the path of the warrior. Her speed and ferocity as a sword maiden, legendary among the peoples of the Eldari. No Craftworld is complete without a burgeoning shrine of howling banshees who wail the death cry of her creed. Perfecting her martial skills alone as she traversed the Webway in search of prey, Jain Zar is by far the most active Phoenix Lord in aiding her species during their time of need, fighting the great enemy. Slain by only the most deadly foes, such as Talas Valkorin of the Night Lord's Legion and Razar the Living Sword of the Incubus. Each time Jain Zar falls, her body is retrieved by her sisters to be born anew. Allying to the cause of Ivrain, the Daughter of Shades, as the Ynnari attempt to bring an end to the reign of She Who Firsts. Now imbued with the favor of the Whispering God, Jain Zar is more powerful than ever. Armed with the Blade of Destruction, Zaya Moren and Janus Moore, the Silent Death, the death mask of Jain Zar amplifies her war cry to a devastating level, which distorts the minds of those who hear its wail. Karandras, the Shadow Hunter, is the Phoenix Lord of the Striking Scorpions aspect. His origins obscured, save for his ties to the original founder of his creed, the corrupted father of scorpions, Ara. Likely the only Phoenix Lord not to be trained personally by Azurman. Though not the oldest nor most skilled of his creed, Karandras took the mantle of Phoenix Lord from his predecessor, following his betrayal of the Asuria. Leading an army of demons to destroy his master and the shrines to which he had built, Ara henceforth retreating into the webway, as the fallen phoenix, burning with the dark light of chaos, now trod the path of damnation. Believed to have fled into the dark city of Camorra, wherein he founded the shrine of the Incubus, Karandras, as the greatest pupil of Ara, is said to pursue the fallen phoenix to this day, seeking to bring his former master to justice. Armed with the Scorpion's Bite, Scorpion's Claw, and his own ritual chainsword, Karandras would duel Drazar the Living Sword for 17 days of combat during 928.M41 within the ruins of the Eldar world of Xandros. The Living Sword, reputed to be what remains of the fallen phoenix driven into a bloody rage during their bout. Though Karandras would not strike the killing blow, his withdrawal allowed for Drazar to slaughter all of his kin, before calm finally returned to him among the remains of his pupils. Lycus, the Phoenix Lord of the Warp Spiders aspect, is known as the Whispering Web. Her long disappearance of millennia now contrasted with her widespread resurgence of activity in Eldar campaigns. Mastering short yet sudden traversals through the warp in order to ambush enemies unawares, many an Eldar has decried the Warp Spider's reliance on the Immaterium as an exploitable weakness for the great enemy to capitalize. Plunging into the depths of hell itself without a thought for her own safety, Lycus's reckless nature has, regardless of her detractors, saved countless Eldar lives during the era Indomitus. Her multi-limbed phoenix armor, fitted with death spinners and monofilament weaponry, bearing striking similarity to the Harlequin's Kiss of Kegarak. The power sword, Vatarkan, or the Weave Render, is sharp enough to cut the very fabric of reality, opening warp portals for her to delve. Observers of the Warp Spiders, long believing them to have no Phoenix Lord due to the peril posed by their traversal through the warp. With Lycus's return, the warriors who honor the arachnoid creatures of the Immaterium are renewed of purpose. Maugan Ra, the last of the notable Phoenix Lords, known as the Harvester of Souls, this morbid champion of the Dark Reapers, is a terrifying foe to behold. A son of Craftwell Altanzar, which following the fall would be caught in a gravitic well of the Eye of Terror. Though Maugan's people fought with valor against the tide of chaos, they proved too few to escape decimation. Their Craftworld swallowed into the tides of the warp 500 years following the birth scream of Slaanesh. Ra ventured to the Temple of Azure and learned to wield immense weapons with unerring, cold precision. Mastering ranged combat as he carried his Morgatar, or Harvester, into battle, his immense scythed shuriken cannon has vanquished countless foes with dispassionate precision. His Phoenix armor, crafted from fragments of the sundered shrine of Altanzar, this avatar of death incarnate has slain among the greatest threats to the Eldar, whether the slavering hordes of both Highfleet Kraken and Leviathan, or the armies of Chaos. Nevertheless, the Reaper always enacts his toll. Finding the remnants of his sundered craftworld within the Eye of Terror, following Abaddon the Despoiler's 13th Black Crusade, Maugan Ra led his beleaguered people to real space, though many believe these eerie souls who speak only in whispers to be changed beyond redemption from their time within the warp. Fighting forevermore as the end of days, the Rana Dandra draws ever closer. The Phoenix Lords ready for the final battle against Chaos, which shall decide the fate of not only the Eldar, but existence entire.